next covering is the covering of safety nets. Immunity that the believer has by obeying divine directives and instruction. God's instruction, they are safety nets. Because the world we walk in now is a broken realm, and the whole world lies in the embrace of the wicked one. 1 John 5:19. So to be able to navigate through the mess of the world, you need to walk by divine wisdom and by divine knowledge, and you need to heed to God's instruction. Because He alone can hold your hand and take you through the perverted labyrinthine arrangements of the cosmos. You know, it's labyrinthine. It's like this. Not straightforward. Only God can take your hand and walk you through that complex and cumbersome arrangement. Because it is something the devil and fallen man, they have created. And if you are born again, a child of God, those instructions become your safety net. Otherwise, your covering, another covering, layer of covering, is gone. God's instructions, they give us immunity from the traps, the snares, and the plots of the wicked one. That's why God's instructions, they always come to intercept. Divine interception, it comes from divine intervention. God's instructions, they border on divine interception. That is why sometimes God gives dreams, God gives visions and warnings. God is always many, many times ahead of the enemy. So when God says move, when God says do that, you are securing, He's delivering you for something that is about to happen. It was God who told Joseph, get up, arise, take the young child with the mother and flee to Egypt. It had not even come into Herod's head, Herod's mind, to kill the babies. But God told Joseph. So if Joseph is obedient, he will always be a step ahead of Herod. So by the time Herod said, I'm going to kill them, Joseph married Jesus, they were already in Egypt. That's the wisdom of God. That is why when you delay to obey God, you don't know what is at stake. When God gives instructions, it is your safety net, securing you against the time to come. And I'm talking about personal instructions that God gives. And the things you know that you must do. Abraham was about to meet the king of Sodom. And Abraham had made money in Egypt. He was about to meet this king of Sodom. And this king of Sodom was a very demonic king. Very demonic. As a matter of fact, the only nation that God said, let me come down and find out whether what I'm hearing is true. Because the outcry against Sodom is too much. For a king of such a nation to meet Abraham, God prepared Abraham to meet Melchizedek first, before he finally met the king of Sodom. He met Melchizedek and then paid tithe of all. Then he met the king of Sodom, and the king said, give me Abraham said, the king said, take this money, take this goods. Abraham said, no, I won't. I'm smarter than you. I've met the King of Kings and I've raised my hands to him. Therefore, I won't take even a shoe latchet from you. That was divine deliverance and interception. God didn't wait for him to encounter the king of Sodom before giving Abraham wisdom. Wisdom always comes before the test. Wisdom always comes before the test. When God gives you advice, the advice is preparing you for the test that is coming, so that when you get there, you will pass. That is why God gives us advance notice. Divine instruction. Very important. Very important. When you obey God's instructions, you are saving yourself. God told Noah, build for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Noah didn't know that he was building for himself and his family. God said, build an ark for yourself. But you need to come to Hebrews 11 verse 7, where the Bible said Noah prepared an ark for the saving of his household. This is serious. Could it be that what God says do, you are doing for yourself? Could it be that it's going to save you and your household? That is why every instruction of God carries within it the principle of immunity. Every instruction. So delayed obedience can cost you. Disobedience can also cost you. When God gives instruction, we must come to a point where we respond promptly to God's instruction. God told Abraham, get up, go to one of the mountains and offer your son Isaac as a burnt offering. Bible says very early the next morning, Abraham saddled his donkey. Very early the next morning. No delay. God said do it very early the next morning. So if you look at Abraham, these are people who work with God. Look at Abraham's life. When you disregard God's safety net, you have broken a layer of covering, and the snake will bite you. So the Bible says, whosoever breaks the hedge, the snake will bite. That's why you can be a believer, holy, and still fall prey to satanic attacks because of disobedience to God's instructions that he gave you. Because you can be Elijah, anointed man of God, and still die of hunger because you are at the brook Cherith when God says, go to Zarephath. Because the season of provision changed. At the brook Cherith, ravens were coming to feed you day and night. At Zarephath, he had prepared the widow to feed you. So instructions come to shift you to new seasons. That is why we don't have to joke with God's instructions. So you can be a believer. Your first covering is intact, which is the covering of righteousness. Your second covering is intact, functional righteousness. But your third covering may be the problem. You are not obedient to divine instructions. You are not obedient to divine principles. You can be a Christian, holy and true, and still suffer needlessly because you disregarded God's financial principle, God's instruction concerning finances.